My neighbors believed one cruel rumor about my divorce and slowly stopped seeing me entirely. "I never said you cheated," Dana whispered beside the mailboxes while two neighbors pretended not to listen. I just repeated what Eric told me. It was almost midnight. I had just finished a double shift at the hospital billing office, and the parking lot lights were buzzing overhead. I remember staring at Dana's pink slippers because I couldn't look directly at her face. "What exactly did he say?" I asked. She crossed her arms. "That there were men coming around before the divorce." I laughed for a second because it sounded insane. Then I realized she believed it. 3 months earlier, my husband Eric moved out after 11 years together. There was no dramatic explosion, mostly silence. He slept on the couch scrolling through his phone for weeks until one morning he rented a truck and left. At first, the divorce felt private. Humiliating, but private. Our apartment complex was small though. 20 units around a cracked courtyard where everybody smoked cigarettes and watched each other through half-open blinds. People noticed Eric disappearing immediately. Mrs. Calder upstairs stopped asking me to walk her dog. Ramon downstairs quit waving before work. Conversations shortened whenever I approached. I kept telling myself divorce makes people paranoid. Then my packages started disappearing. One afternoon, I found a grocery flyer tucked under my windshield wiper with homewrecker carved into it with blue ink. I sat in my car staring at it while frozen food melted in the back seat. I never cheated on Eric. Not once. The truth was smaller and sadder. Eric lost his sales job 2 years earlier, so I started working longer hours to cover rent and bills. He hated depending on me. I hated pretending I didn't resent him for it. We became careful around each other, like roommates trying not to trigger another exhausting conversation. But apparently that version wasn't interesting enough. The rumor kept growing after Eric left. Depending on who repeated it, I was secretly seeing a married coworker, multiple men, or somebody younger, who visited while Eric worked nights. Eric never even worked nights. Still, people believed it easily. The worst part was Eric never corrected anyone. I texted him after Dana confronted me. "Did you tell neighbors I cheated on you?" He answered almost an hour later. "I told people you changed." That reply made me feel sick because it was vague enough to protect him while still feeding the rumor. After that, things became openly uncomfortable. Neighbors lowered their voices when I entered shared spaces. A woman near the laundry room warned her teenage daughter not to become selfish and cold while staring directly at me. Somebody scratched my parking number with a key. I stopped using the courtyard completely. One night, I heard two neighbors talking outside my kitchen window while I washed dishes. One of them said, "Eric always seemed decent. Men don't leave for no reason." I stood completely still, holding a wet plate. Listening to strangers turned my entire marriage into a story simple enough to repeat between cigarette breaks. Most nights after work, I drove around listening to old podcasts until exhaustion forced me home. I started doing laundry at 3 in the morning to avoid people. The isolation got inside my head slowly. I reread old arguments with Eric, wondering whether emotional distance counted as betrayal somehow. I started questioning memories I used to feel certain about. About 8 months after Eric moved out, I saw him accidentally at a gas station across town. He looked thinner, nervous. We made awkward conversation beside the pumps while traffic hissed behind us. Finally, I asked why he let everyone believe those rumors. He rubbed his jaw for a long time before answering. "Because if they blamed you," he said quietly, "then nobody asked why I left. That was it. Not hatred, not revenge, just cowardice." I moved out 2 months later into a smaller apartment near the freeway. Nobody there knew me, which should have felt comforting. Mostly it just felt lonely differently. Sometimes I still think about how easily people accepted the worst version of me because it made a cleaner story. I think about Dana whispering beside those mailboxes like she was being careful instead of cruel. I still avoid getting too close to neighbors now.